Welcome to My Weekly Mixtape, a podcast that takes the classic mixtape approach to building a modern playlist. I'm your host, Brian Colburn. Joining me once again as guest curator, once again from 5 minutes ago, is my former Tunestiles co-host, Jay Sweet. Jay, welcome back, even though it feels like I just talked to you.
It's good to be back, Brian.
Yeah, it's a week later in real time, but in Jay and my universe, it's only been 5 minutes. It's kind of like Marvel-esque, but a little bit different. So yeah, really no small talk to have here, because if you listened last week to our Fictional Bands episode, you already know what's happening here. But however, if you haven't, let me first give you a warning that this is the first time in My Weekly Mixtape history that we are doing a Volume 2 back-to-back with a Volume 1. Unless you take into consideration the 100th episode celebration that ran for 3 episodes, which was not actually an episode, it was more of a compilation thing, but I digress. So if you're listening to this episode now and you haven't heard Volume 1, you might be a little confused because we're going to be referencing Volume 1 at some points here, I'm guessing, because it's kind of a part 2. So obviously some bands we're going to be talking about tonight we didn't talk about in Volume 1 and vice versa. So if you want the full Fictional Band experience, pause this episode now and go back to last week's and make sure you finish Volume 1 first. But Jay, I've got 40 other songs to go here. What's your bank looking like?
Yeah, about the same. I narrowed it down to about 35, 40 more that we could go with.
And we have to whittle that down to 20. So tonight, as I mentioned, Jay and I will be curating the Ultimate Fictional Bands Mixtape Volume 2, and we're going to continue to use that old cassette deck approach. Jay, as my special guest, will begin Side A with his first song choice, and then I'll add a song that I feel best follows up that choice. We'll then flip-flop choosing songs until we've mapped out 10 songs for Side A. We'll then give our mixtape a proverbial flip, and we'll map out Side B, only this time I'll kick things off with Jay choosing second. Our overall goal for the episode is to craft the best Fictional Bands mixtape possible through only 20 songs. At the end of the show, you can take our conversation to the next level by visiting the episode page at myweeklymixtape.com to give our final mixtape a listen via the embedded playlist. And if you like what you're hearing on the show, you can help me out by either telling a friend, leaving the show a 5-star review wherever you're tuning in, or becoming a Patreon mixtaper at patreon.com/My Weekly Mixtape. There you can find ad-free episodes of the show, gain early access to future My Weekly Mixtape episodes, chime in on upcoming topics, become a future guest, and so much more. And for the first time in My Weekly Mixtape history, I don't have any Patreon shoutouts because we are literally rolling into Volume 2 5 minutes after Volume 1, and I gave all of the Patreon shoutouts over in Volume 1, but I do want to say thank you to everybody who supports the My Weekly Mixtape Patreon. It helps me invest in the show. It helps me keep up the costs of running this week in and week out. And it is truly the most hardcore community of mixtapers and such a great group of people to talk music with. I'm so grateful and thankful for each and every one of you. So for those listening, if you haven't joined and you'd like to chime in on future My Weekly Mixtape episodes, where I actually do the chime-ins, come join the Patreon Mixtaper community at patreon.com/My Weekly Mixtape. All right, Jay, you know the spiel. I'm pressing the record button. What do you got for Volume 2, Track 1?
We are starting off strong on Volume 2. It really occurred to me that it would have been an absolute sin to leave off The Life of the Dragon. And I am going with Steel Dragons, We All Die Young.
Nice. We have talked about this song several times on this show.
100%. This movie was another one of those semi-mockumentary biopic kind of movies, originally supposed to be based loosely on the story of Judas Priest, but Judas Priest kind of was like, you know what, maybe we shouldn't, let's not do that. So they kind of created this fictional band, this wonderful tribute band, Steel Dragon, and it was voiced by, I mean, you kind of hinted in Volume 1 just about 10 minutes ago that this is a supergroup. You've got Zakk Wylde, you've got Jason Bonham, and Miljenko Metajevic from Steelheart, who wrote the song and had actually put that out as Steelheart before this movie was even a thought.
And by the way, you're not giving the bass player any love here, so you can't forget Jeff Pilson of Dokken.
Of course, Jeff Pilson from Dokken.
Gotta show the bass player some love, man. Jesus.
Everybody forgets the bass player. Jeez. But it's such a great band, and a great the music is fantastic. And again, this is one of those groups that was like where you talked about in Volume 1. I don't understand how, like a Stillwater, how these guys didn't have a full album, an actual supergroup recording career. So you would have had like Steel Dragon, and you would have Traveling Wilburys and Asia, right? the Power Station. I don't know, just pulling things off the top of my head. But those are the kinds of things that, that this movie just nails down everything that is the 80s anthemic stadium rock and roll.
And for those of you that don't know the movie that Jay's talking about, it's called Rockstar.
Oh, I didn't mention that because, yeah.
And that features Marky Mark showing off his vocal prowess, well, lip syncing prowess. But he does a great job in this movie. It's actually a fantastic movie. Jennifer Aniston.
Yes.
If you're a big fan of that 80s overindulgent rock scene, this really hits the nail on the head. And I mean, it's funny, Jay, you mentioned how could Steel Dragon not be out and about doing, bigger things? In my mind, I take that a step further. And how the hell did Steelheart's original not get bigger? I understand that Steelheart I'll Never Let You Go was a big hit for the band.
Their biggest, yes.
But after that, they still continued to put out great records. And I feel like it's wrong that they quote unquote peaked at I'll Never Let You Go, because there's so much more than that.
I think it was unfortunately just the timing of everything, because while their later stuff was like in the early 90s and grunge had kind of taken over and hair metal was kind of on the decline, but it's Firehouse, it's Alias, right? It's that kind of, power ballads were the thing. And I think that's when hair metal kind of got a bad rap, if you will.
Grunge took over right in 91, and then
Absolutely.
Power ballads were considered passé.
That's right.
And you know what? I'm not going to lie. We're here in 2025, and I listen back to Power ballads, and I don't feel that they seem as dated. Maybe it's just me because I am dated from that era, but
Sure.
some of them definitely feel dated. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Some of them have that 80s sheen and that 80s production sound, but We All Die Young, which came out in 2001 with the Rockstar movie, alludes to that 80s sound, but it definitely is a song that I can listen to now and still say it feels like a modern rock song.
Well, that song, I think we've talked about this on previous episodes as well as Tunestiles. When Steelheart put out We All Die Young, it was a much different version than Steel Dragons. It's a little bit more mellow.
Yes.
It still has that the same lyrics and the same theme. And I've mentioned that he wrote that when his mother was sick. That was a whole different vibe from what you hear from the Zakk Wylde charged guitars and Jeff's thumping bass there. I made it up.
Yeah.
I made up for mentioning him earlier.
Thank you.
Yes. But I mean, yeah, and just pounding on the drums with Jason Bonham behind him, and it's an incredible song to listen to. And the kind of monologue that he does in the intro of the song before the end, right? Where he's mimicking basically Bobby Beers's original when he sees him live in concerts. Like, he kind of says the whole thing about, it's important for us to kind of continue moving forward because, and then the kid in the front row is like, we all die young. That's right. We all die young. And he realizes, Mark Wahlberg realizes that there's more to life than this. Like, I walked away from a pretty good life with Jennifer Aniston, and then he goes and becomes the Verve Pipe, right? So, Colorful, one of my favorite songs on that soundtrack. No question about it.
All right. Well, I'm going to right a wrong from Volume 1 right away because I just could not find a spot in Volume 1 to sneak this in. And I guarantee you that future Brian, when these episodes air, will have fielded emails over the fact that Harry Shearer, Christopher Guest, and Michael McKean were not discussed in Volume 1, and what the hell were we thinking? We got to make up for it. We got to go Spinal Tap, and I'm going to go Big Bottom.
Nice.
I mean, you can't have a fictional band episode and not talk about Spinal Tap, and I feel like we messed that up in Volume 1, even though Volume 1 is awesome. I feel like that's going to be the thing that people dangle in front of me. Like, why the hell
Yeah.
didn't you have Spinal Tap is kind of the impetus for what drove this episode. Like, I heard one of their songs come on and I'm going, oh my God, these guys aren't even a real band. And Big Bottom is awesome.
That's
How
right.
the hell is this band not real? And I think a lot of times during Volume 1, we talked about like, these are really fantastic songs at the end of the day. We're not just calling out fictitious bands to say, well, this band is fictitious, so it makes the list. Maybe in Zack Attack. I mean,
Right.
you know, I think I'll be honest, Jay, you started off Volume 2 a lot stronger than you started off Volume 1
That's
with We All
right.
Die Young. But We All Die Young is a song that 25 years later, I mean, even longer from the original, still is incredible. And Spinal Tap's music is still incredible. And they're one of those ones that, like the Blues Brothers, they started as a fictitious band, but then technically they're still a fictitious band. But are they really? Because they put out Break Like the Wind, which even though there's some humor to it, it charted.
Right.
And they also put out Back from the Dead in 2009, and that charted. And now there's a sequel
Right.
for This Is Spinal Tap. Does it count
I think it
as
counts.
a fictional band anymore? Because they've kind of crossed over
They
into
transcended.
they transcended fictional bands.
Yeah.
This isn't like the Lone Rangers in Airheads where they just had the one song and the one movie, and then they continued on. Spinal Tap kind of, are they really fictitious at this point? I don't know. And that's a rhetorical question I'm going to ask all the listeners. Do you consider Spinal Tap to be a fictitious band or a actual band in 2025?
So if I'm not mistaken, Big Bottom was written sometime between their drummer spontaneously combusting and the Stonehenge incident.
Yes.
While they were figuring out that their amps go to 11. Spinal Tap is one of those bands again that just, it's cemented in pop culture. It's been riffed on in all sorts of other shows that kind of spoof that type of music and that type of show, that movie.
And I'll be very curious in the sequel if they're going to reference Break Like the Wind and Back from the Dead as fictional lore for the sequel's plot. Because if
Right.
that's the case, then it does make these albums part of the fictitious narrative and takes away any relevancy of them actually being Spinal Tap albums. And then I'll also throw out there that I'm going into the Spinal Tap sequel with a little bit of pause because there's been a lot of sequels that have come out over the last decade that were 10 or 20 years in the making. Anchorman 2, Dumb and Dumber, the sequel,
Right.
the one with Jim Carrey
Yes.
and Jeff Daniels.
Jeff Daniels.
Zoolander 2, Coming to America, the sequel, Beetlejuice. I feel like a lot of these had high expectations that were impossible to meet. And Spinal Tap, I put in that same category.
Yes.
It's going to take a miracle for them to capture the lightning in a bottle that is 1984's This Is Spinal Tap. And I really want them to do it. I hope they do it. I hope it succeeds. And if there was any group of comedians that could make this happen, I feel like it is the members of Spinal Tap.
You know, Rob Reiner, this movie was genius. I think it was put together perfectly. They didn't play to the laugh, which was hilarious. The fact it was, we talked about Wet Hot American Summer, and I think that movie played 100% to the laugh. Especially,
Yes.
It got just ridiculous at the end. This Is Spinal Tap didn't play to the laugh. They played it straight, and it was just perfectly done.
Well, Jay, we are back to you now for track 3. Where do we go from here?
Let's stay in this vein. I know we talked about Tenacious D. We talked about Jack Black, and I want to go to School of Rock with with the School of Rock. That is a fantastic movie as well. That's a great cast. You got Jack Black, you got Sarah Silverman, you've got a very young iCarly is in it, right? I mean, that movie is fantastic. It's so good that they spawned a Broadway musical. And of course, you had great star power in the movie too.
And perfect marketing because School of Rocks are everywhere.
That's right. I've got one around the corner from the apartment.
And we get a little extra Jack Black in the discussion because in Volume 1, we talked about Barry Jive and the Uptown Five, Let's Get It On. But School of Rock is fantastic. It had that AC/DC vibe to it. The kids are so talented in it. I actually read that they did a reunion recently, and two of the kids from the movie are now married in real life. They stayed in touch over the years, and now they're married. And
that's cool.
Jack Black and all the kids still get together, and they go out to dinner, and it's like they stayed close all these years, which I think is awesome. Fun movie, fun soundtrack. I've watched it with my kids. It still holds up 20 years later. But following up School of Rock is tough, but maybe not so much, because this amazing person just popped into my head, and we have to go there because we haven't talked about them yet. And that is the lovely Kay Hanley from Letters to Cleo.
Sure.
Who wrote amazing music with Letters to Cleo, but also did music for the soundtracks to The Craft, to 10 Things I Hate About You.
Mm-hmm.
She performed in Jesus Christ Superstar alongside of Gary Cherone in Extreme.
That's pretty cool.
Back in the day, yep. She also wrote the music for the Disney cartoon Doc McStuffins. She wrote music for Star Trek's Strange New Worlds Subspace Rhapsody episode. She was the guest on episode 44, the Ultimate Letters to Cleo playlist, and we talk about all of those things along with Josie and the Pussycats, Three Small Words. It's a little different musically from Steel Dragon, Spinal Tap, School of Rock, where you got that hard rock thing going. This brings it to a little bit more pop, but it's Josie and the Pussycats, man.
That's right.
They're like an iconic fictional band.
Absolutely. I mean, we talked about in Volume 1, we talked about the Hanna-Barbera cartoons, and Josie and the Pussycats was there, and I was trying to rack my brain out thinking, all right, come on, what was the song that they did? What were some of the songs that they did in the cartoon? And it took the movie, I think, to kind of cement that they had with Rachel Lee Cook and Tara Reid, Rosario Dawson.
They made it very believable. And I'll tell you, we recently watched Josie and the Pussycats, and it held up. It's still a good movie. It's fun. It's a fun family movie. There's a couple of parts that are, maybe not good for the youngest youngins in the house,
right? But
it's a fun movie. It's a very fun movie.
Absolutely. All right, let me stay in that vein. And this is a movie that's been remade a couple of times in different iterations. But I want to talk about the Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan vehicle, Freaky Friday.
Oh,
and
okay.
The band Pink Slip with Take Me Away.
Which is actually a cover song. It was originally recorded by a group out of Australia called Lash, and it was a hit in Australia, reaching number 33. I had this on my list if you haven't figured it out yet.
Nice.
Freaky Friday is one of those ones that my kids fell onto when they were young, and I've seen it so many times, and it's so good. And just like Spinal Tap, this year is getting a sequel. Okay. Only time will tell if it captures the lightning in a bottle that the 2003 movie was. Because at the end of the day, yes, that was even a remake from the original Freaky Friday. But I think, given our age, they did a great job with that one, modernizing it, keeping the same vibe. Believe it or not, I think Lindsay Lohan did an excellent job in that movie. And Jamie Lee Curtis was fantastic.
She's fantastic in anything.
In anything. True Lies, all of it. She's just hands down incredible. But this movie was fun, and the music was perfect. I think they definitely Popeyezed the version for Freaky Friday, the Take Me Away song, but I love it. I love the pick.
Yeah, and you've got a great, you mentioned the great soundtrack is, again, Bowling for Soup recording Baby One More Time for the soundtrack as well. It's just terrific to kind of hear that new kind of feel that soundtrack puts out for the movie. And again, the theme has been done from the 70s. I mean, George Burns, right, with 18 Again, very similar vein of something magical happens and the adult is transferred into the body of the child and vice versa. Didn't Fred Savage do something with that as well?
Fred Savage was with Judge Reinhold and vice versa.
Yes, exactly what I was thinking of.
Then you also have 17 Again, which was the Matthew Perry version of it.
That's right. So again, you've got a ton of variations on the theme, and the movies, you could take them or leave them, but the soundtrack for the 2003 Freaky Friday was so good.
Oh, it was so great. And to follow that up, I'm going to drop a bomb on this episode now.
All right.
because we haven't gone off the rails. I mean, a little bit in some instances. I think Zack Attack on Volume 1 was going off the rails right from the beginning. But how could we do a fictitious bands episode and not talk about Prestige Worldwide and Boats and Hoes?
Oh, yes. That's great. Oh
Step
my gosh.
Brothers is one of the funniest movies of the last 2 decades by far. So quotable. We're not going to quote any of it here. We're not even going to talk about the lyrics of Boats and Hoes here. It's filthy. The movie is just terrible, but there's so many lines in it I find myself using in everyday life.
100%.
If I walk into a room that's not messy in our house with some of the kids' toys or just day-to-day life, you know, I'll walk in and say, there's so much room here for activities. I mean, it's just one of those quotable movies. And Boats and Hoes at the end of the day is just a fun friggin' song that I have on my comedy playlist, and I laugh every single time I hear it. It's tough because I could have easily went with Dewey Cox because John C. Reilly is so funny. He's got such a great rapport on screen. Anytime with whoever he's with, he just knows how to like make the scenes work. And he does it so well with Will Ferrell. You've got 2 amazing movies they did together in Step Brothers and Talladega Nights. Then they did that Sherlock Holmes one that I don't remember seeing, but I've heard from a lot of people it's not very good. But that aside, yeah, it doesn't get any better than Prestige Worldwide as far as I'm concerned.
So good. It's your Catalina wine mixer. It's so good.
Pow!
I love it. I love it. And another great movie with a great cast. You know, we could go on for hours about the place that holds in my heart.
I'll never look at a drum set the same way.
Did we just become best friends? That's so good.
All right. What are you following it up with?
All right. Wow. That's a hard one to come out of. Let's take it back. Let's do a little bit of a reset. And I know we kind of talk about these. A lot of these movies are just amazing, but I'm going to go back to welcome everybody back to the Death Delay Club. We're going to do a song tonight that will live on in the hearts and minds of fans of Animal House forever. This is Otis Day and the Nights with their hit song, Shamalama Ding Dong.
Whoa. I thought you were going to go with Shout. Oh,
Nope.
yeah.
I'm going to go with Shamalama Ding. That scene in the movie, a fantastic movie. National Lampoon just nails them when they put these things out.
Cannot make that movie today, just like Blazing Saddles.
Nope.
I think SR-71 said it best in the song Politically Correct. You cannot make that movie today. And I think that's why our generation, and maybe this is a big soapbox moment for me, but I feel like our generation has been prepped via movies like Animal House and Revenge of the Nerds and Porky's and anything by Mel Brooks. And then in stand-up comedy between the likes of Richard Pryor and George Carlin and Sam Kinison and Dice, we have a threshold for offensiveness that I think is higher than other generations because of what we grew up with.
That's right. Absolutely.
And Animal House is a perfect example of that. Otis Day is another example of an artist that was fictional, but has taken that on, and it's become his career. He still tours as Otis Day and the Nights, which I love. All right. I'm going to go serious, kind of serious. Well, it's a serious song. I think it's fair to say. And this song's been recorded by the Stanley Brothers, Bob Dylan, Ginger Baker's Air Force.
Ooh.
But I'm going to go with a movie that came out in 2000 by the Coen brothers. Oh, Brother, Where Art Thou?
Oh.
And I'm going to go with the Soggy Bottom Boys, I Am a Man of Constant Sorrow.
That's fantastic.
It's a total 180 from Shamalama Ding Dong being an oldie song. But I feel like it's going to be hard to kind of come out of the oldies with anything right now. I mean, obviously, I could have went with The Wonders, but you stole that from me in Volume 1. And I feel like this can kind of pivot us in many different directions. And this version is so good. It actually charted, the Soggy Bottom Boys version. It hit number 35 on the U.S. Hot Country charts. And it's a friggin' incredible song.
Definitely.
Movie aside. Like, I love this song. It was produced by T-Bone Burnett, who produced so many friggin' incredible albums, including Counting Crows, August, and Everything After, which I just did an episode about. But yeah, man, this is different. This one is one of those songs that it's like this could have been a massive hit for any band at the time. And it just happened to be in a movie by a fictitious band.
Part of the beauty of Oh Brother, Where Art Thou is that the Coen brothers put together really good movies. They're a very dry sense of humor kind of movie, which is great. I like that kind of stuff a lot. But the soundtrack to the movie almost was bigger than the movie itself. And the movie's great. Don't get me wrong, but more people were talking about the soundtrack than they were the movie itself, the plot of the movie itself, which is that kind of music is just, what is it? Swampy, kind of bluesy, bluegrassy, Americana, right? It's just one of those things like dueling banjos from Deliverance. You hear it and you're like, the movie was kind of, oh my God, that's kind of weird. But the song kind of takes you to a place.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
And I think you can thank Dan Tyminski from that. Dan is part of Allison Krause's band Union Station.
Yes.
So you already know that there's talent behind this song. And they were able to bring it out. And the performance that George Clooney and crew give in the movie make it really believable. And it really just works so well. So yeah, it's definitely a pivot out of Shamalama Ding Dong, but not horribly, because Shamalama Ding Dong is a mellower song. Had you gone with Shout, I might not have gone with Man of Constant Sorrow here.
Fantastic. All right. So I kind of talked about how this is a kind of a swampy, bluesy, Americana, bluegrass kind of song. I'm going to take us into some blues next. And this movie, straight up mockumentary. I remember one of my favorite parts of the movie with this particular song focuses with the camera shots. And that is the thing that made this such a big thing for me. The Commitments. Covering Aretha Franklin's I Have Never Loved a Man as Much as I Love You. And I just remember the lead singer in the band, the seductive, hypnotic swaying and the tight close-ups on her face as she's singing the words into the microphone is just gorgeous. And I'm like, is this made up for the movie? And then I had to go back because I don't know all of Riri's catalog, but man, I gotta tell you, that is a beautiful cover. And the Commitments really did a great job. Another one of the soundtracks that just took off even further than the movie.
I was just going to say that. I feel like I had them on my list, but I had their cover of Mustang Sally, which I know. I've been in cover bands for years. Mustang Sally, believe it or not, I know I'm going to offend cover band musicians here. It's never gotten old for me. I love Buddy Guy's version. Sure. I love the version from the Commitments. I don't know why, because I've heard and played that song more times than I could fathomably count, but I never got sick of it. And the Commitments version's incredible. I love their take on Aretha's I Have Never Loved a Man as Much as I Love You. The movie's, again, underrated. I think people talk about the soundtracks more than the movie.
Definitely.
Well, you're in blues now, blues-ish, and I don't have a lot of blues stuff. Well, all right, I do actually. I'm going to switch a song, but I'm going to go with the same group. And remember how I said at the beginning of Volume 1 that I was going to add an asterisk and say that the band could be part of cartoons, television shows, movies, and or pop culture?
Pop culture, yep. Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm going to use my pop culture fictitious band right now.
Okay.
And I'm about to blow your friggin' mind and blow everybody's mind listening. Are you ready for this?
Yep.
Okay. The song, Banana Hill. The band, the Rockafire Explosion from Showbiz Pizza, the animatronic band that you sat and watched at Showbiz Pizza, the big bad competition for Chuck E. Cheese.
Right.
Mic drop, closing out the side. This is a cover of Blueberry Hill by Fats Domino called Banana Hill. And yes, I have unlocked core memories for you via the look on your face right now.
I don't like this song. I love it. This is genius. I didn't even... you know how long it's been since I've even thought of... Oh my...
And you're
Brian,
there right now. You can taste the pizza right now because this is where you sat and ate your pizza.
That's right. And listen, I got to tell you, kids, when Chuck E. Cheese was in the 80s and early 70s, when they first started, Chuck E. Cheese was actually legitimate food. The pizza was actually pretty damn good. And now it's like cardboard with spaghetti sauce on it.
Yeah, but Showbiz was their
Showbiz.
competition.
Yes.
And I don't know. Here's the thing. I don't know how regional Showbiz was.
Very.
So I'd be very curious who is listening to this that actually remembers Showbiz Pizza. That's why I had to bring in the Chuck E. Cheese reference.
Right.
And there are videos all over YouTube. There's a documentary about the Rock-afire explosion, and
oh my God,
they actually put out the Rock-afire explosion soundtrack for 2025's Record Store Day on vinyl.
No, that is awesome. Slow clap, man. Slow clap. That's fantastic. What a closer.
Well, there you have it, folks. Side A of Volume 2 of the Ultimate Fictional Bands playlist, which consists of Steel Dragons' We All Die Young from the movie Rockstar, Spinal Tap's Big Bottom from This Is Spinal Tap, School of Rock's School of Rock from School of Rock, Josie and the Pussycats' Three Small Words from Josie and the Pussycats, Pink Slip's Take Me Away from Freaky Friday, Prestige Worldwide's Boats and Hoes from Step Brothers, Otis Day and the Nights' Shamalama Ding Dong from Animal House, the Soggy Bottom Boys' Man of Constant Sorrow from Oh Brother Where Art Thou, the Commitments' I Have Never Loved a Man as Much as I Love You from the Commitments, and the Rock-afire Explosion's Banana Hill from the pizza-eating memories of our youth at Showbiz Pizza. Head over to myweeklymixtape.com to hear all the songs we've discussed in this mix through the playlist embedded on the episode page. And now, Jay, I get to kick things off for side 2, and I'm going to drop one that is a song that I vividly remember the song, but I might be hard-pressed to tell you much about the show. I remember watching it all the time. But for some reason, the show itself has been pushed to the back of my core memory. But the theme song is always front and center. Because when you say we're Kids Incorporated, you know the response is K.I.D.S. And I am going with the theme from Disney's Kids Incorporated. I can't tell you a damn thing about the show, but I remember the song, and I remember the Bloodhound Gang covering it. Anybody that was around, oh my God, yeah, Bloodhound Gang do an incredible punk cover of Kids Incorporated, and it's fantastic, and you need to check it out. I'll be curious if Kids Incorporated falls under the Rock-afire explosion level of when was the last time I heard those words.
Oh my gosh. So what I can tell you is I'm just a hair older than you. And get this, spawned the careers of which you may know, Martika, Fergie Ferg, formerly of the Black Eyed Peas and then solo artist. Also Mario Lopez, who we talked about in Zack Attack.
And Jennifer Love Hewitt.
So you've got a great vehicle there for some real up-and-coming stars. That is fantastic. I love it.
Well, how are you going to follow that up?
Well, Brian, let's go to the mall. Robin Scherbatsky was a
it's Robin Sparkles.
Well, now, yes, of course. She her under her stage name Robin Sparkles before she had a real dark encounter with Dave Coulier. Why does everybody think it's always him? It was a great riff on How I Met Your Mother, on the Alanis Morissette story that Robin Sparkles wrote a song about going to the mall. And it's bubblegum, it's pop, it's Canadian, it's perfect.
It's a play on Alanis Morissette because a lot of people don't know that Alanis's first 2 albums released in Canada were pop albums.
That's right.
Before Jagged Little Pill. I also think it's definitely a hat tip and a nod to Tiffany, because Tiffany was the one who started the whole mall craze in the 80s with I Think We're Alone Now. She did the mall tours.
That's right.
And I feel like it's a hat tip to both of them. And Jay, I don't know if you know this, but on streaming services, there is an album called How I Met Your Music, and it is the soundtrack to How I Met Your Mother that includes Let's Go to the Mall in full versions.
Perfect.
Sandcastles in the Sand,
Nice.
Nothing Suits Me Like a Suit, Marshall versus the Machines, Two Beavers Are Better Than One, You Just Got Slapped, both the piano version and the version with Boys to Men, and then a bang, bang, bangity bang. I said a bang, bang, bangity bang, 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 bang. Dude,
So great.
How I Met Your Mother is my wife and my, okay, it's too late to start watching anything that's going to take any bit of brain power.
Yep.
We just go on and we put on an episode. And if we pass out halfway through it, we pick it up the next night. It is our kind of end of the night show. We've watched the show about as many times as Friends. And every single time we do a run through of the series, we just talk about how creative the writing was on that show. It was
Absolutely.
genius. I understand that people have a problem with the ending of the show, and I'm not going to spoil it if you've never watched it. However, there are callbacks in season 7 that go back to a joke that started in season 2.
Right.
And they ping pong, and you'll notice things that go back and forth throughout the entire series.
Oh, Barney with the entire long-term setups of the gags that he does, the bets and the craziness. It's stuff that they started way back in the early seasons, to your point. It goes right through like up to season 7. You're like, what a setup. Like, it's fantastic. Great writing, ensemble cast. And I do have another tip of the hat there from the Alanis Morissette piece, because she was in a television show called You Can't Do That on Television.
Yep.
So it follows Kids Incorporated perfectly.
Yeah, there was no band on You Can't Do That in Television.
Right.
Just Barf with the Barf Burgers.
That's
but
right.
I'll say this, How I Met Your Mother, it was not a musical, but every single song, especially Let's Go to the Mall, because I say it, my brain's going, I mean, we did the bang, bangity bang. 2 beavers are better than one. Da 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 da. These songs get stuck in your head. They are so well written, so well done. Say nothing more. If you haven't watched How I Met Your Mother all the way through, do it. Love the pick. We're dropping bombs this side, aren't we?
Yeah.
All right. Coming right back at you. Rex Manning, Say No More, Mono More, Empire Records.
There it is.
It had to happen. Had to happen. I don't think, Let's Go to the Mall is about a mall and Empire Records is about a record store. So it's slightly different, but we just rewatched Empire Records recently. And this past fall, I went to see the stage play in Princeton, New Jersey. They did a month-long residency where the Princeton Record Exchange, the record store, actually provided all of the set design for it. So the stage was set up like a record store. It had the bins and the booths and everything. Incredible stage play, great music, great new music that was created just for the stage version. I really hope it gets a bigger, wider release. Empire Records is a cult classic. I know there's 2 versions of the movie. If you have the original DVD, you're looking at the crappy fan edit of the movie. Make sure to get the Blu-ray and watch the theatrical version, because that is the version.
Yes.
It's a classic. Say No More, Mono More, Rex Manning Day. People celebrate it every year. It had to be included. I'm so upset I didn't include it in volume 1.
No, we saved the best for the end. I think that's we talk about great movies, very cult following movies, all-star cast, that who's who of stars in that movie. Joey Lauren Adams, Renee Zellweger, Liv Tyler, just incredible. Went on to incredible stardom. And you could have gone with is it Sugar High or Sugar Rush?
High. I thought about going with Sugar High. Okay, let me talk about this. I really thought about going with Sugar High. So Sugar High is written by Coyote Shivers.
Mm-hmm.
And his name in real life is Francis Coyote Shivers. And he is a Canadian-American musician and actor.
Mm-hmm.
So it's actually his song. However, the movie version that you watch on screen, Renee Zellweger's character sings a verse.
Right.
That verse is not included on the soundtrack. So technically, the movie version is a fictional band for the likeness of the movie, because Renee Zellweger sang the part of that song.
That's right.
But on the album, it's a song by a real person.
Okay.
So similar to what you did with SpongeBob and Sweet Victory on Volume 1, I decided let's go for the full fictitious character.
Yes.
And Rex Manning. It was hard to pull, but Rex Manning is not on the soundtrack to Empire Records. That was a misstep in my opinion. Sorry, gotta say it.
I agree wholeheartedly. My goodness. So you've got We mentioned in Volume 1, Love Actually, and the Gary Marshall movies and these giant rom-coms with multiple cast members and these multiple stories that go on within the show. And Billy Mack was a fictional character in Love Actually who had, the whole thing about Valentine's Day, and they were going to, do this great song. I could go there. I'm going to go deep. I don't think anybody is going to be, there are very few people who are going to know this one. Coming out of Say No More, Mon Amour, I think I'm going to go with Buckaroo Banzai and the Hong Kong Cavaliers and their cover of Since I Don't Have You. Peter Weller and Jeff Goldblum in a movie.
Wow.
I don't even know how to categorize this movie other than mountains of cocaine.
This movie is actually titled The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension.
That's right.
It's shortened by a lot of people to just Buckaroo Banzai.
Right.
I'm not going to lie, Jay. My parents took me to see this in the theater.
Nice.
I was 7. Can you imagine what this movie did to a 7? I sat there just kind of like, when you talk to your dog and your dog tilts their head to the side as if to say, I hear you're talking, but I don't quite know what you mean. I did that for the entire run length of the movie. And I'm not going to lie. It is now 41 years old. And I think if I were to watch it again, I might be doing the same thing.
Oh, I did. No, totally. The last time I watched it was last year, I want to say, or a year and a half ago, I watched it again. And because I found my friend's Superpod Hero Cast did the show. They pulled it as one of the movies that they were going to review. And I was like, I have not seen that movie since it came out. And I got it. Yeah. So you got RoboCop, right? And you've got Jeff Goldblum, who's Jeff Goldblum. He's just great in everything.
Don't forget Christopher Lloyd.
And Christopher Lloyd and Clancy Brown, who was the
John
the Kurgan
Lithgow. I mean, there was
John
everybody.
Lithgow. John Lithgow's character is hysterically funny. The movie is, in a word, stupid. It's and in another word, terrible. It's not great. It's not cohesive.
But it's so bad it's good.
But it's
That's
so
the
bad
thing.
it's good. Exactly. And so if you don't know the movie, I guess it's an alien fighting movie, right? Superhero kind of ish. Where these cowboys kind of with kung fu like abilities are traveling and they're in a band. And John Lithgow's character is an Italian, but he gets possessed by some alien, and he's trying to like bring other aliens. It's so great. It's fantastic.
I feel like I was just sitting in the writer's room as you were describing it there. They sat around a table.
With, again, mountains of cocaine. And just, here, I got an idea. Let's do aliens and cowboys. Like, just hilarious. And I'm not talking about the fun Jon Favreau, Harrison Ford aliens and cowboys movies. like this is just craziness. 80s sci-fi. It's great.
Well, it's funny you mentioned Harrison Ford because being you went with the sci-fi routine, I'm going to do the same. Because, Jay, we've gone an episode and 3/4, and we haven't talked about Figrin' Don and the Modal Nodes, otherwise known as the Cantina Band in Star Wars.
Oh, my God. He went with
Han
the Modal Nodes.
Yes.
Shot first.
How can we not talk about, we're talking about fictitious bands. People don't even, look, if you're a Star Wars fan, you know Figrin' Don and the Modal Nodes, but I had to say the Cantina Band because most people refer to them as the Cantina Band. And this song, I mean, I can't tell you how many times I watched Star Wars. And no, I'm not calling it A New Hope. I'm calling it Star Wars.
Star Wars.
It was called Star Wars when I was a kid. The movie screen said Star Wars. And it was Star Wars until they changed it to A New Hope. I still refer to it as Star Wars. And I love the Cantina song. It's fun. It's goofy. It's John Williams, who's just a friggin' genius because he captured the essence of that scene in a way that it actually felt like music you might hear in outer space. It actually felt like, man, this doesn't sound like humans would be playing this. There was such a vibe to this song. And it is just a testament to how amazing John Williams is.
100%. The world building that came out of that movie is undeniable. And prequels be damned and sequels suck, and we get it. but the original world that George Lucas built in his head and how that translated to the big screen in 1977 cannot be denied. You could have gone with Cy Snoodles and the Max Rebo Band, but no. And the Cantina song is probably one of the most recognizable pieces of music out there. In fact, Miko, right, redid that in the 70s as a disco style. Mm-hmm. So pretty cool stuff. All right. So coming out of that, I think it's going to be, this is actually pretty easy. Family Guy, who's been mentioned several times now in this last 2 volumes.
And a lot of connections to Star Wars.
Yep, a lot of connections. In fact, having done Blue Harvest, which was a parody of Star Wars, and then Something Something Dark Side, which was Empire Strikes Back, and then the last one was It's a Trap, which was Return of the Jedi. In that show, in the parody, after Figrin and the modal nodes are done playing, they're like, yeah, great, thanks for coming out, let's play that song again, the exact same song. And then they go back into so anyway, that being said, Peter and Glenn later on in the show form a band, like Simon and Garfunkel and Oates kind of band called Griffin and Quagmire, and they had a very big hit with a song called Butter on a Pop-Tart. And that's where I'm going. It's so freaking good. Okay?
Oh my God. I mean, you could have picked so many songs out of the Family Guy lore. I'm actually shocked we haven't gone down this road. I'm actually shocked we haven't gone down the South Park road yet. Like, we are just, and we're getting towards the end of Side B of Volume 2, and my list still feels endless at this point. But that is absolutely hysterical, because that is one of my favorites from the series. It's so dumb.
Yes.
And so just ridiculous. But the song is actually half catchy, even though the lyrics are asinine. So bravo, dude.
I could have gone with Everyone from Florida is Stupid, but I don't want to tick off anybody who listens to the shows.
Yeah, dude, I get some good numbers in Florida. So I disagree with, I'm offended by that song.
It's offensive, right?
It's especially to all the Florida mixtapers. Yeah.
I lived in Florida for 10 years. Not everybody is, most of them are, but no. But they also had what was Home Bowl.
Yeah, that whole episode was so funny. Oh my God.
So funny, but most of those songs are really not safe for work, kind of. You had the uncensored versions of the show, which was what I was watching, and it just adds a layer of how in the world did you get away with this?
Yeah, and throwing it back to the whole How I Met Your Mother thing, why they didn't put out a Griffin and Quagmire digital EP online, I'm shocked. Because Family Guy does have a symphony orchestra live album out. So I'm actually surprised they never took it to that kind of breaking the fourth wall by putting the album actually out on streaming services. But I digress. That's tough to come out of, I'm not going to lie. But I'm going to pivot here, a little bit of a record scratch, just a small one, just a tiny little record scratch there, and go in a different direction and go with a song that's a little bit more serious and something that I've talked about on this show and I've talked about on Perfectly Good Podcast, which is another member of the Pantheon Podcast Network with Sylvan and Jesse over there. They put on a great show. And I'm going to go to the Country Bears soundtrack. Now, the Country Bears is a movie that came out in 2002. And my now wife and I were dating at the time. We were up in New Hampshire, and they had a movie theater chain up there called Smitty's. And at the time, this movie theater chain basically started what you see in theaters now, where you'd have the reclining chairs and, kind of be able to order food. They were a full service restaurant, but instead of sitting in chairs like movie theater chairs, they took the chairs out of Lincoln Town cars.
Oh.
And you sat in those chairs. They actually converted them. So they were big, fluffy, comfortable chairs that leaned back slightly enough, not all the way.
Right.
But there was a table in between you and your guest, and you'd order your food and dinner. So at the time we were dating, we said, let's go to dinner at one of these movie things. So we got there at dinner time. And what was the only movie showing? Country Bears. So he said, screw it. We're going to just try the experience out. Let's just go see whatever the movie is.
Right.
And as soon as the movie was done, I made us go to a record store and buy the soundtrack because the lead singer of the
Very
Country
cool.
Bears is John Hyatt, who's one of my favorite singer-songwriters. As soon as I heard the opening, I'm like, that's John Hyatt. Oh, my God. And the whole movie just features cameo after cameo after cameo of famous musicians. However, the last song of the movie, the kind of the grand finale, Straight Through the Heart of Love, is a collaboration of John Hyatt, Don Henley, Bonnie Raitt, and Colin Hay from Men at Work.
Very cool.
And you put all those people on stage together. Now, obviously, in the movie, it's the Country Bears, but I know the voices. And Don Henley and Bonnie Raitt, I know for sure made cameos in the movie. I'm not 100% sure about Colin. I think he did, but it's been a long time since we've seen the movie. But the soundtrack, hearing all those voices together, is a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful song. And I mean, John Hyatt's one of the greatest songwriters ever.
Period. Yeah, so I got to admit, this one wasn't on my radar. That was right around the time that I had left New York City to go back to Syracuse post 9/11 and, and the medical problems my dad was having. So, there was right before the time where I met my wife and my stepdaughter. So, just missed it. But the soundtrack is fantastic. So
yeah,
that's an excellent pick.
I'll be honest, Christopher Walken's the big bad in the movie. So it's definitely worth a watch if you want something that's, it's made for kids, but there's a lot of wink, wink, nudge, nudges to the adults in it. And if you're a music fan, a lot of fun cameos that really kind of put a smile on, at least on my face.
Right. Yeah, I mean, love Bonnie Raitt, love Don Henley, of course, John Hyatt, love Colin Hay. So you can't go wrong with that for sure.
Yeah, fictional supergroup, so to speak.
Well, let's see. You put that down. That's kind of a reset point. I think I'm going to...
Oh, come on. You're telling me butter on a Pop-Tart wasn't a reset?
Fair. Valid. But then again, so was the Cantina song. So
yeah, right? It's been just nothing but resets here.
Yeah, I think we're all over the place. All right. You know what? It hasn't been mentioned, and I think we need to. I think we need to talk about Bill S. Preston Esquire and Ted Theodore Logan as Wild Stallions and be excellent to each other. The song that saved the world.
Thank God it wasn't the song at the end of Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, because that was when George Carlin said they do get better.
They do get better. Maybe we should practice.
I'll be honest. I wasn't blown away by Bill and Ted's Face the Music, but I didn't hate it.
Right.
It wasn't a bad movie. It was, again, we've talked about it several times, that long delay between sequels. There was just no way for it to reach the heights of Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure and Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. That was a lightning in a bottle movie and sequel. They did the best they could and made a fun movie. But at the end of the day, it's really hard to reach such stratospheric bars. And there's already talk about the Goonies getting a sequel.
Yeah.
I don't know if that, like,
that.
Even if you do the whole, they're the adults this time. I mean, maybe there's a way that the adults recapture their youth through another adventure. I mean, I think about the Muppets 2011 movie, and they were able to pull off that plot point with Walter, the Muppet. So maybe the Goonies can do that. I'll be very curious, but I have pause. Love the fact that you went with Wild Stallions because, I mean, come on. Put them in the Iron Maiden.
Iron Maiden? Excellent.
All right. Okay. So you went with an all-time world-saving song. We're down to our last picks each for volume 2. And you and I have now been, this is the longest we've ever recorded in all of our years recording together in one full stretch. Sans for the interview with Matthew Nelson of Nelson.
Yes.
I think that was the longest episode.
4
but now
hour.
these 2 episodes combined will equal our longest. And I ended episode 1 with a song from the Blues Brothers. And I followed up your Eddie and the Cruisers pick with Eddie and the Cruisers 2. So I'm going to use that same kind of mindset and close my fictional band picks for the night with what I feel might be the greatest fictional band ever. And it's from the sequel to the Blues Brothers, the oft maligned Blues Brothers 2000. But I am going to go with the Louisiana Gator Boys,
Very nice.
otherwise known as Jeff Skunk Baxter, Gary U.S. Bonds, Eric Clapton, Clarence Clemens, Don DeJohnette, Bo Diddley, Isaac Hayes, Dr. John, Charlie Musselwhite, Billy Preston, Lou Rawls, Joshua Redman, Paul Schaefer, Coco Taylor, Travis Tritt, Jimmy Vaughn, Grover
Wu-Tang
Washington. Yeah. Grover Washington Jr., Willie Weeks, Steve Winwood, and as Malvern Gasperson, B.B. King on vocals and guitar, doing BB's classic hit, How Blue Can You Get?
Can you get?
Is it a cover song? Is it a fictional band? Yes, because BB is known as Malvern Gasperson. So for the movie, he's fictional. Yes, it's him singing his original song, but I'm pulling the SpongeBob card once again. But I mean, come on. As the last pick of the night, this is a fictional supergroup that I would have paid top dollar. Imagine being in that movie.
Yeah.
The people that got to see that filming witnessed history. The movie is awful. I'm sorry. I don't trash things much. The movie is just an excuse to tie together these incredible musical segments.
Yep.
The first Blues Brothers movie is a masterpiece of a movie with a masterful soundtrack. Blues Brothers 2000 is a masterful soundtrack tied together with a really tough to follow plot, if you can even call it that. But this scene, to be in that room, it's as they show the meme with the hands up in the air of Martin Scorsese, absolute cinema.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. I mean, you cannot. It was. I laugh and say, the Wu-Tang Clan, because when I saw them live, there's a gazillion people up on that stage, but you can't go wrong with the names that you just listed off, and that song is so good.
And that
so good.
version is so good. Like, BB is still in his prime at that point. I mean, he was in his prime until the day he left this universe.
Absolutely.
Let's just be honest.
No question.
And that delivery, that performance is live. That wasn't a canned recording.
Right.
That they did that on stage. That's the live recording on the soundtrack. And holy shit, what a jam. One of the greatest jam sessions I've ever witnessed.
Definitely. Could have been. That is a great example of this would have been a better tour than a movie.
Amen.
And I think, they did that, right? They kind of did a tour with Jim Belushi and Dan Aykroyd. They kind of got together as the Blues Brothers 2000. They put out an album. They did a tour. It's a great closing pick for you. I love it. All right,
dude. We are at the end of volume 2, this 2-week back-to-back episode run.
So many that are going to be left on the table. So many.
There's a volume 3 coming, but I'm tired. I don't want to record it today.
No, we'll do it later. But I'm going to go with something that I am going to be sure that very few people know.
Oh, that's good. Give something that nobody cares about for the end.
Yes, but I'm ending this on the most epic note ever. And it's going to be a song composed 40% by the drummer Carl Burnett, 40% by the lead guitarist Frank Enia, contributing another 40%, and 20%, the sweet, sweet 20%, written by keyboard player William Billy Red J. Regan. They form B.E.R. and the song The Night Begins to Shine.
Are you talking about Teen Titans?
Teen Titans Go, where Cyborg transforms into Optimus Prime. The single stupidest cartoon. It's one of those things where it's right up my alley. Like, so many pop cultural references for the adults to kind of take in, but dumb enough for the kids to just cackle. And they're like, why is he turning into a white truck? Like, what's going on? Like, this is the coolest thing in the world. And it gets stuck in everybody's head, and they try to, destroy the tape, and it just crushes Cyborg, and he can't go on until they bring it back. It's so great. That's how I'm going to end it. I am so
glad you went with that. My kids went nuts for Teen Titans. They both had their phase. And What a fun way to close this, dude. Bravo, because I did not have that on my list, which means you didn't scoop me on another one. So from a personal standpoint, I've still got plenty of picks for a Volume 3. So thank you for that.
Woohoo!
But with that, kids, Side B of Volume 2 of the Ultimate Fictional Bands playlist, which kicked off with Kids Incorporated from Kids Incorporated, Robin Sparkles, Let's Go to the Mall from How I Met Your Mother, Rex Manning's Say No More, Monomore from Empire Records, Buckaroo Banzai and the Hong Kong Cavaliers, Since I Don't Have You, Figrin Don and the Modal Nodes, the Cantina song from Star Wars, Hard Stop, No A New Hope, Griffin and Quagmire, Butter on a Pop-Tart from Family Guy, the Country Bears, Straight Through the Heart of Love from the Country Bears, Wild Stallions, Be Excellent to Each Other from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, the Louisiana Gator Boys, How Blue Can You Get from Blues Brothers 2000, and B.E.R, The Night Begins to Shine from Teen Titans Go. Head over to myweeklymixtape.com to hear all the songs we've discussed in this mix through the playlist embedded on the episode page. Now, folks, Jay and I have dropped over the last 2 weeks 40 fictional bands for your listening pleasure. If you have a fictional band we haven't talked about, I want to hear it. Hit me up on social media at myweeklymixtape. Send me an email, myweeklymixtape@gmail.com. Let me know your favorite fictional bands so that way maybe Jay and I can get them in for a Volume 3. Jay, once again, dude, this has been a blast. Thank you so much for joining me on My Weekly Mixtape.
Thanks for having me, Bri.
Remember, you can find My Weekly Mixtape on almost all the social media haunts at My Weekly Mixtape. You can also head to myweeklymixtape.com to check out the full catalog of My Weekly Mixtape episodes. And if you like what you're hearing on the show, you can help me out by either telling a friend, leaving the show a 5-star review wherever you're tuning in, or becoming a Patreon mixtaper at patreon.com/My Weekly Mixtape. There you can find ad-free episodes of the show, get early access to future My Weekly Mixtape episodes, chime in on upcoming topics, become a future guest, and so much more. That's all for this week, really this time. Thanks again for listening, and until next time, enjoy the tunes.